Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to do our week 5 in review for the NBA and particularly talk about how the process is officially dead and gone. But first, let's welcome the panel. NMB Sports, Nick, how are you today, sir?
Doing good. My Mavs got 4 straight wins. Looking good without Luka. So I'm feeling much better compared to last week if we had done a show. But glad to be here.
We've got Speam Engine. How are you, sir? Long time no see.
Yeah, I'm taking that as a direct shot from Nick, and that's fine. I deserve it. Happy to be back. Rolled right out of bed to be here. So let's get it.
All right. And we've got Hoop God. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man, gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Outside of my Cowboys just letting me down this season. Talking basketball, take me out of that reality. So yeah.
Didn't you text me about the Steelers?
Did I? I don't know. Maybe I did.
I feel like you did. I feel like you mentioned them losing. That's fine. This is a basketball show.
Yeah. So Nick, what do you think about the 76ers being absolute trash this season? I think they're 3-12 or 3-13 right now. Do you think that the process is dead and gone, or do you think that the 76ers, do you think that whole thing that they've done over the last 10 years has been worth it? What's your take on the whole aspect of where the 76ers are right now?
I mean, it's hard to say it's been worth it. I know Embiid won an MVP, but I don't really think that's the goal or what they were trying to do. But I would definitely say it hasn't been worth it. Again, I'm the political guy here, but as someone who remembers how bad the Mavs were in the 90s and whatnot, we kind of talked about that yesterday in the trivia, but I think you would rather live with the fact that that your owner tried to do something for your franchise, made a move, even if it whiffs horribly, right? It's kind of one of those things where I'd rather have a franchise that takes a shot or tries to put some things together. Look, they have a decent roster if people could stay healthy and kind of just play their game and be available, right? But obviously it hasn't worked out. A lot of injuries. I still say they have an okay roster. I think it's good enough to make some noise, but the managing of it, obviously Embiid just is hurt all the time, doesn't play back to back. That's mainly what probably at least 51% plus of this has the process failed kind of thing. I think that's largely what it is, unfortunately. But I mean, yeah, it hasn't been worth it. I think it's interesting to think about where they will go from here. I think I agree with you. It's officially over. I mean, I know that they did just go out. And again, I know that they made some moves and got Paul George, and you're hoping they could reload and make another run or something, but it's just not looking good. You mentioned their record. Can they put it together by the time the playoffs roll around and sneak in or something? Maybe, maybe they are like a team early in the playoffs that you're kind of scared to play in the first round if they're healthy and things are clicking. But I would say the process is over. But again, they just got Paul George. I think you're kind of committed to this roster for another couple years, right? So I don't know what you guys think about where it goes from here, where we're at. But obviously, I think it's been a failure. I think that is what I'll say about that.
What you got to say, Speam? What do you think about the Sixers?
I think any series of decisions that lands you Paul George is probably not a good series of decisions. I think, and I don't remember, but just the concept of tanking for a better draft pick. I don't know if like the Sixers as an organization were the ones to do it and just not be shy about it. But I think that was a really ugly thing for the league to begin with, and I think that that's the one thing that the current commissioner actually did well. It's like, nah, Sam Hinkie, we're done with that. This whole just play like crap and then just think you could do nothing and get away with it.
What you got to say, Hoop God? What's your thoughts?
So just piggybacking off what Nick said, yeah, Embiid won an MVP, but ultimately that's not the goal. You know, the goal is to get to the finals, to win the championship. I'm gonna quote the great Herm Edwards once again: "You play to win the game," right? And acquiring Paul George, now I know what Paul George's potential, right? I'm aware of that, highly respected, and I think it brings a significant boost to their team. However, Paul George spends more time on his podcast P than he does actually playing on the court. So it's like, okay, you go out here and in a preseason game hyperextend your knee. Okay, awesome. That's not going to help your team. And then in a regular season game, it gets exacerbated again. It's like, clearly you guys aren't practicing, you know. And the results are showing because you're having these little ticky-tack injuries that's not allowing you to play. Not to mention Joel Embiid. Oh, I don't want to play back-to-back. Well, Joel Embiid, how are you going to develop chemistry with your team? How are you going to develop continuity and cohesion when you don't want to play back-to-backs? And Shaq called him out on it. Shout out to Shaq. We need more of that. It's like you guys want all of the benefits, you know, of players who have won and proven themselves, but you don't want to go out and prove yourself to that degree. I'm like, I'm missing something here. So, Dart, I know Philly's your team, and on paper they look great, but at this point, man, just blow it all up. Because is Embiid getting any younger? Is Paul George getting any younger? Build around Tyrese Maxey. Right now, I highly respect him. He's coming out there night in, night out, and just to see the quote unquote veterans around him, like how often is it that the young guy has to call out the MVP?
You said Maxey?
Yeah, Maxey.
You Tyrese Maxey. Okay.
I was gonna say real quick to kind of re-sum up what I said before Dart goes. Yes, the process is over, but does the process ever really end? You know what I mean? Like it's, you know, where do we go from here? That's my question, right? But this phase of it definitely feels dead.
Well, the thing with the process too, or just what you're talking about is that everything, especially what Hoop God just said, they gambled so much on Embiid, and what do they have to show for it? A guy who won't even play back-to-backs, and they've just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and they've made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. I'm not saying I would have made the right decision because some of them I agreed with at the time. For instance, the keeping Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, I agreed with it at the time, but in hindsight, it was such a dumb move. I thought he would have fallen off. It could have been a different story if you had somebody like Jimmy Butler, you know, riding Joel Embiid, making him, or I don't want to say making him, but influencing to have a better attitude and just pushing him to be a better player. Because at this point, if you got Tyrese Maxey, who's, what is he, 23 years old or something like that, saying, hey, 30-year-old guy, everyone thinks you suck because you're not even showing up to practices on time, and you make everyone, you're making everyone look like or think that you don't care. So if you're supposed to be the face, you're supposed to be the leader, and you can't even show up on time, then what does that have to say? Especially if it's a regular thing, that he's just saying, oh, well, screw you guys, I'm not even going to show up. So, and that's the point with this is I think I agree. I think at this point they should just blow it up and just, you know, do their best, because you got guys like Paul George and Joel Embiid who were historically and chronically injured. So why keep these guys? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Could I? Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I was going to say,
no,
I do have a response.
Yeah, go for it.
Just to play devil's advocate here, as I was looking over the history of how this all went down, it's not like they didn't try to take shots and just got hit with some really, really bad luck. You know, Ben Simmons hurt his first year. Joel Embiid hurt his first 2 years. Saric hurt or didn't play his whole first season. So, you know, they made these moves in the hopes that something would happen, and then just got hit with some bad luck. But I also think that you know, just to kind of give them somewhat of an out, but also as an organization, they've made bad public decisions. the whole Ben Simmons mental health thing, as somebody who's a huge mental health advocate, that was handled terribly. I wish in 2024, going into 2025, we can say, nah, man, like, you're calling mental health, but that's BS, because you're out here dressed fly as heck every night, but then you're talking about, your brain ain't there. Actually, Paul George did the same thing in the bubble. When the Clippers, I think it was the Clippers, right? Yeah, the Clippers. When the Clippers lost, he's over there talking about how sad he was and all that. So it's like they have these mentally weak players that think they're on this huge platform. So J. Cole. What's the guy? J. Cole. What's the basketball player you just talking about?
Tyrese Maxey?
No, he looks just like J. Cole.
Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you give him all this money, and then what does he? How do you not unload that contract after? What's it been? 4 seasons? Second season, man. Like, you're not producing, and we need something. James Harden ain't it. He hasn't been it since his first season in Houston. So they've tried. But they're also very public about their bad decisions, and there's an arrogance with that, I feel like.
Yeah, no, and that, yeah, for me, it's been terrible in respect to, even with the draft decisions that they've made. So if you think about the guys that they whiffed on Jaylen Brown, they whiffed on, the other guy from the Celtics, Jason Tatum. Amongst others. And Andrew Wiggins. Well, Andrew Wiggins couldn't have gotten him, but Jalen Brunson. The aspect of it is that, man, that team just it was so bad. And Julian Garcia even says the NBA is getting bad to the point where some casuals are noticing. Like it's ridiculous. But yeah, no, the 76ers, and I was all about the process because I liked that they were being brave about it and trying to make a move to win a championship because we haven't won since 1983, haven't been in the finals since 2001. And I was like, well, you got to do something. And I was for it. But they picked guys up like Markelle Fultz. Now, Ben Simmons, I was okay with Ben Simmons. Like, just the recent years, I think what really got him is I think what really helped him, but then what really hurt him is when Brett Brown was there and then he left. And then he didn't have his dad's former coach to help him out because Brett Brown knew his dad because Ben Simmons his dad was an overseas basketball player in Australia, and Brett Brown used to coach his dad. So they had that kind of link there. So I think Brett Brown, in ways, I think this is a strong word, but coddled him, but paid a lot more attention to him. And I think that's what helped a lot of his development. Or I would estimate that if you focus on this guy and say, hey, you can be the guy that has the ball, play great defense. Now, at the same time, a lot of it didn't pan out because he wasn't improving. I'm not saying he wasn't trying, but a lot of people would claim that he wasn't trying to get better at his jump shot. Just the aspect of it is that over so many years, he didn't get better in some aspects. And then you go and you look at what happened on when Brett Brown left and Doc Rivers was there and people just started taking shots at him. He just seemed not to have the capacity to be able to take that kind of criticism. What do y'all think about that, Nick?
Just in terms of their history overall, I was gonna say I never bought into the Ben Simmons hype. I just never understood it. I understood he's like a really good athlete, and in college he kind of did a lot of things okay, and he was good. I just never bought into him he went number 1 overall, right? I mean, I never bought into him being that good, like that he was worthy of a number 1 pick. But yeah, I mean, I was also looking at they've got Embiid until for another 2 years, I think, and then he has a player option in 28, 29. And Paul George has the same thing, except a year further in 29, 30. He's got a player option. Man, I just it's going to be tough. I don't know how they're going to get through this like next 2-3 years. It's going to be hard if Embiid and Paul George aren't healthy. But yeah, I mainly just want to say that about Ben Simmons. I just never got that. I always thought that was a really bad move. I thought they should have traded that pick if that's what everyone else thought he was valued at. But that's just me. Hindsight's obviously 2020. But yeah, the draft picks have just been horrible. They've also let go of a few guys who ended up being pretty good players that they probably should have held on to, but the ones that they drafted high just missed, and then they drafted some other decent players. Sterling Brown was okay for a while. They drafted Okafor number 1 as well. Remember that in 2015. So just kind of whiff after whiff, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Speem or Hoop Guy, do you have anything else to add about the 76ers stuff?
Looking back on it, so they've had Jahlil Okafor, Nerlens Noel, Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, still got Joel Embiid, Dario Saric, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and whoever else I'm missing.
They drafted Drew Holiday as well. Remember Evan Turner? I was just like, who did they start? Did they start with Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid? I was just kind of like starting from there and then going on up. But I'm just thinking about all this talent that's been drafted and it hasn't materialized just to the second round that they can't get past. Like, wait a minute. Some's not adding up. The math is like the young kids say, the math isn't mathing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Hoop God, we were talking about this before the game, before the stream started. How do you feel about the Nuggets absolutely mollywhopping the Lakers last night?
Round of applause for the great Nikola Jokic, who continues to provide reality to these people who live in Wonderland. Because we routinely keep hearing how great this particular person is, not to say his name, but yet Nikola Jokic just goes out there who's unathletic, who can't jump, but yet he destroys them when they play him. Do you guys know that the Nuggets went on a 50-17 run against this team, coached by the great JJ Rhetoric? I'm gonna quote Ticket TV. Socrates.
JJ Rhetoric. That's a good one.
I'm really trying to understand how is it that the Lakers can beat these bottom feeder teams, but when you go up against a notable team, you just get taken behind the woodshed and get your ass handed to you. But on a positive note, Russell Westbrook played phenomenal. I like the Nuggets. I think they got off to a slow start, but they're starting to hit their stride. And this is what I like about their system. When you take a talent like Russell Westbrook, people know what is his MO. He gets downhill. Well, a guy like Jokic does not impede, that production. And I'm so happy to see it, because all we kept hearing was Westbrook, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you have to put Westbrook in the right environment to allow him to thrive. And it's just amazing how Nikola, like they always say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And he's literally making Westbrook look like a treasure. I am ecstatic. Like, just to see them go out there and just thoroughly annihilate them, it just gives me all the joy in the world.
Yeah. What do you got to say about it, Speem?
I think it's great, but it's also a little – I'm nervous because without the Nuggets, I don't see too many teams beating the Lakers or letting the refs beat – the Lakers get beaten in a 7-game series. I think the Nuggets are the one team that have kind of figured out how to get past the refs. And Anthony Davis, his soul is just like – with the rest of Joker's trophies and all that stuff, for whatever reason, he just folds against him every single time. It makes me nervous because the Lakers, for whatever reason, seem to be able to get past any other team. And Murray makes me nervous because, he's been so up and down. And I see him really just having a bad series against the Lakers out of nowhere. So I love it. I'll feel better when I see it in the playoffs. I never feel, it's crazy. I never feel safe until the whistle blows and it says, like 4-0, usually 4-0 series wise. Otherwise, I always feel like, man, the Lakers just have some chance, by some miracle.
What do you got to say about that game, Nick? Do you think that's telling of where the Lakers are at?
Well, I got ripped for my week 1 hot take when I said, what Redick and the Lakers had done, I thought was the most impressive. And remember, the first 3 games, they beat Minnesota, Phoenix, and the Kings, right? 3, I would say, quality wins, right? The Suns have been pretty good up until Durant got hurt. And the T-Wolves, I know they've struggled a little bit, but they're still a good team. So are the Kings. And since then, those are their best 3 wins since that first week, that week 1. They don't have any signature wins. They beat the Grizzlies, but they didn't have Morant. They really have just beaten a bunch of bottom feeders. And again, like he kind of mentioned, when they go up against better teams, they have lost. They lost to the Pistons, right? So I kind of agree that I think the Lakers are kind of coming back down to earth, although they've had a favorable schedule up until now, and I do expect them to kind of continue to fall a little bit. Again, it's the same Nuggets team though that lost to the Mavs, right? Just a couple nights before with no Luka. I do have to mention that a little bit. So, but yeah, I think the Lakers. I put them at the beginning of the year. They will be lucky to be a play-in team. I'm sticking with that. And that's kind of where I'll leave it. I think they come back down to earth here. I'm sure they're about to get a much harder schedule coming forward. So we'll see what happens. But I expect them to fall a little bit.
Yeah, I was talking to Scap, who can't make it because he's on a Thanksgiving vacation. But he went and he had mentioned that he wanted to come on and talk about how the Nuggets spanked the Lakers, but how Jamal Murray was just so crap still. And I know he has it out for Jamal Murray, but the Nuggets aren't doing that bad. And I understand his point is, well, what about the playoffs? But at the same time, I think that they are still a relatively good game or a good team where they're able to go and just absolutely, they won by 40 points or something last night. They like Hoopgod was saying, they went on a 50-17 run. Like, that's all that has to be said. 50-17. That's ridiculous. It should never happen in the NBA. It's way too much. So the aspect of that is that I think the Nuggets are in a good spot. I'm not saying that I think that they're by far going to win the championship or anything like that. But to say that is a trash team, I think, or that the team in total that they can't make a significant playoff run, I think is over the top. So I think that was telling with where the Sixers are. I think it's also telling where the Nuggets are. With that, specifically with that addition of Russell Westbrook, which I think it's great that they got him. Not to say that I've ever been a huge fan of him, but I think he's actually in a spot where he can be utilized in a relatively good way.
I think his reputation is still I think he's still playing damage control from how the Lakers portrayed him. And I am happy for him. I'm happy just to see him out there being happy and playing happy. Watching him cuss out the crowd was amazing. I think that just like how he has been done is disgusting. It's not right. And I figured it was going to happen the moment they took him in. I said, man, it's so easy to take credit if he's great. for LeBron, but even easier to say it's his fault if they lose, and that's exactly what happened. The Lakers only took 14 free throws, which I think that's it. Just keep them off the line, and you're fine. I mean, as we know, the free points is where they live, and LeBron will get more and more frustrated, and Connect will get frustrated because he's not getting calls, and what's his face will get mad because he's not getting calls.
Well, Spain, you already ran him off the internet. You ran him off Twitter. He said he's got to take a break, man. You bullied the guy.
The last time I said I was going to take a break from anything online, it was like 2005 when AOL Instant Messenger, I think, was a thing, and you'd leave the little away messages saying, I don't want to talk to anybody. Please leave me alone. When in actuality, you turned your computer off.
Bean, shame on you for bullying the 39-year-old who will be 40 in less than 30 days. Shame on you.
It's disgusting. Now Bronny James is hurt with an injury that none of us can that's redundant, that none of us can see or prove. That team's in shambles, but like I said, I don't feel good about it until it says 4-0, 4-1, 4-2, whatever. 4 wins is when I will feel better.
Nice. So I am in no way caught up with this, so I'm just going to ask. I'm going to ask you, NMB, are you following the in-season tournament, and what is the deal with it? What is going on with this in-season tournament? Because I candidly have not. I have not been watching this at all.
I mean, I follow it no more than the regular season. I don't even know what the standings are technically for the in-season tournament, but I'm gonna be in the minority here. I've said it before. Like, I like the in-season tournament a little bit, right? Like, I'm not a hater of it. I get why they're doing it. Ratings are down. You got to shake it up. Again, I don't like the whole hanging a banner. That's where you lose me, right? But just for a little in-season shakeup, like, I'm gonna defend it, right? I'm a sucker for the courts, the different color courts. Although the Nuggets one was really bad, but I'm a sucker for like the kind of the novelty of just changing the colors up. And again, I would rather we not have to do it, right? I would rather we not be in a position where we're like getting desperate with ploys like this and things to get eyeballs on the game, but I'm a bit of a sucker for it, right? Like, fine, let's try it, right? Like, let's shake it up. And I guess the only thing I could say about it that in terms of following it is they do it kind of like, I think it's a lot like European soccer rankings where, like the tiebreaker and how much you win by matters in terms of your standing and things like that, right? So I also kind of like it because, we talk about rivalries a lot, right? And I think it's cool to kind of put some random teams in different groups and stuff like that and let them play each other and have a little bit of a, mixing it up kind of a little bit. Again, I know all of this is like smoke and mirrors really for the problem that is just the brand of basketball is not bringing enough eyeballs in. Understood, 100%. I hear that, but I'm going to be in the minority and defend it a little bit, but I think they've only played 2 or 3 games for it, so there's still a couple more to go. They're kind of sprinkling them throughout, the schedule here. They'll play an in-season tournament game here, and then a week later they'll play another one kind of thing. So it's not like something you need to keep up with. It's just kind of once the first round is done, then let's see where people are and let's talk about the matchups, give us something to talk about, right? But that's kind of how I see it.
Can I respond to that real fast?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's your turn too.
Oh, perfect. So I agree with everything that Nick just said. It's the smoke and mirrors part that I just is the most upsetting because I'd rather them just call it the "we hope the Lakers win one tournament" because whoever wins this year, if it's not the Lakers, I really want to see how it's marketed. Because I agree, I think it's necessary to put eyes on the TV and butts in the seats and all that, but I don't think the NBA is hurting for money, and I certainly don't think they're hurting for fans. But it's being marketed as this, let's bring competitiveness back. All right, well, let's see what happens after this year if the Lakers don't win. Is it still going to be this competitive, tournament to keep, to wake everybody up, or is it now just this thing that nobody cares about? So I agree. It's like when Disney makes a good movie, right? It's like, well, did they make it because it's a good movie to make people feel, or did they make it because it makes money? It's because it's money. So we'll see. That's my thoughts on it. Also, shout out to Omar calling it the October Classic. That is hilarious.
So let me agree with Nick and then Jamal Johnson as well, because initially I wasn't for it. I'm like, wait, why do you need an in-season tournament? But looking at it from the macrocosmic perspective, I do see it now, because when the ratings are down, you got to do something. Because if we don't, it's kind of like we're being hypocrites, like, oh, Adam Silver, the league sucks. Okay, well, guys, I'm trying to get an in-season tournament, so if I do this, are you going to complain? So looking at it from the opposite side of the spectrum, yeah, I'm starting to understand it now. And like the guy Jamal Johnson said, yes, the tournament this season right now, what I've witnessed, by far better. When I watched Boston against Cleveland, it had a semi-playoff atmosphere. Like, every possession, these guys are scrapping. Every possession, you see that hustle, you see that intensity. See, that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, right? And I know that's for the little analytic geeks out there who never watch a game, but they want to tell you about efficiency and all this. Okay, tell me what happened in this given moment in the third quarter with 50 seconds left. Can you tell me that? No, you can't, because there's not a stat for that. But when I'm seeing those type of games, it's like, this is what needs to be going on throughout the regular season for the most part. And let me give the Golden State Warriors a substantial amount of credit, because those guys that have been playing championship caliber basketball, defeating the Dallas Mavericks. Nick, no disrespect to you, but you see how Curry and Clay were going at it. Like, bro, this is what I love to see. This is what I enjoy. Like, yeah, we used to be teammates, but now we're opponents. I'm not taking it easy on you. Don't take it easy on me. When I hit a shot, I'm going to do the shimmy and talk right. You're supposed to do that. To me, that's where the ratings come in. Not none of this, hey, let's all hug and, glaze each other like somebody else that's wearing a Laker uniform and Draymond Green. No, let's go out here and, have healthy competition, right? Then they played the Pelicans, giving those guys all the credit in the world. They didn't lay down. Like, they were matching the Warriors, defensive intensity, and the Warriors ultimately just out-executed them, right? And then when I saw the coming back to that Celtics and Cleveland game, and I was just telling Dart this, the Celtics, I'm seeing what they're doing. They're going full-on analytics on the offensive side, which is horrible. But they're going to hang their hat on their defense, which I have to give them credit for, because I don't particularly like the Celtics. But that style of play will not win them a championship. Because if you're only going to resort to trying to drive to the lane and shoot threes, when you run up against a formidable team that is going to run you off of that three-point line and force you to take twos, you're not going to have a recourse. And then you're expending all this energy on the defensive side is going to take away your legs from shooting those long threes. So if that's how they want to play, congrats to you. Hope maybe you'll get a top number 1, number 2 seed, but that style of play is not going to transition into a 7-game series. But hey, they beat Cleveland, but I'm seeing it now. Cleveland, meet them in a 7-game series. Everybody healthy, by the way. I don't want nobody, to be compromised. They're not going to beat Cleveland like that, because Cleveland will not try to match them with the threes. No, they're gonna play inside with Evan Mobley and Jarrett. They're also going to let their guys play make Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. They're not going to be like, hey, we're just going to just relent to just 2 forms of scoring. No, they're going to use every aspect, every way of scoring, and then they're going to go out and play great defense as well. But yes, as of right now, I got to give Adam Silver his props. I am liking what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the intensity. I'm seeing the grit. I'm seeing the hustle. And right now it's working, because the regular season, man, some of these games it's just hard to watch. But hey, right now I gotta give it up to Adam Silver now in season tournament. It's seeing the intensity that people want to see. Is it gonna be a long-term thing? Who knows? But right now I'm enjoying it. So that's my take.
Real quick before you go, Dart, one thing I was going to say too is that it doesn't affect the playoffs either, right? And I like that they kind of give up a cash prize to the winning team and the runner-up. Like, for a while when the slam dunk contest wasn't like, it just didn't feel as good as it used to. Like guys didn't want to do it. Like I always said, like put $1 million up for the winner, right? And I bet you some people come out and want to compete, right? And so I like the cash prize aspect. I like that it doesn't affect the playoffs. It's totally just an in season. It's just like kind of, any other game in a way. But then also, we talk about wanting to keep the competition up. I kind of mentioned the point differential. It kind of makes teams keep their foot on the gas, right? If they care about standings and whatnot, when you're up by 20, you want to win by 40, right? Because the differential could be a tiebreaker in the end. So I do kind of like the point differential in theory, that it makes you play 100% all the time. If that mattered, right? Or if you're thinking about that, that we want to win by as many points as we can, or even if we're losing and we think the game's out of reach, we still want to lose by as little as possible, right? So I kind of like the point differential as well.
Real fast, Alessandro has super chatted me €11.99, and thank you, sir. And you are, of course, are welcome back to the next debate league. He says, "Hi guys, it's Alessandro from the Summer League. To me, the NBA is almost unwatchable for the most part. Still hope something will change, but I feel it's going to be very hard to happen in the short term." Yeah, I absolutely. It sucks. I try to watch it, but little on the entertainment value of it. They make it a lot harder to watch versus when, at least when I was a kid, you just turned the TV on and you got they make cable way too expensive now. The streaming, you have to buy into another additional streaming service to watch the games. So it's unwatchable, let alone the entertainment value. And I was talking with Jim from Self-Research NBA Facts, who's also the inaugural trivia champion as well as debate league champion. He was talking about, I did an interview that will drop in the near term with him. He was talking about how you just can't even watch it anymore. So, but specifically with the high pick and roll and 3-point shots, that's generally the go-to one action play that they have. So it's, you know what I mean? Like if it's great to see when they have more action plays going on, but the typical one action play, a simple play, however you want to put it, is the high pick and roll, and it's predictable, it's unwatchable, as you're saying. But I appreciate the super chat, Alessandro, and I hope to see you in the next debate league as well.
Can I devil's advocate to the high pick and roll real quick?
Sure.
It's boring as hell unless you're a mellow ball. That 50 piece he put up the other night, combined with just like his loose style of play. Again, I'm going to say, I think they really need to start thinking about making him the face of the league. I think if you get the LeVar Ball buy-in into that, man, that's money. That's, you're raking in at that point. I feel like just embrace the whole WWE thing at that point. You know, have the Ball brothers on the same team. You know, have them have special moves and bullshit like that. Just and then have them play the Lakers. You know, maybe 30, 40 times a season. Just do it. Just go for it, because you know it's built on drama. And somebody actually, I think it was shout out to Jamal. He said the WNBA for the first time is probably carrying the NBA, because the WNBA is going back to relying on, I shouldn't say going back because they've only been around like 8 years, but they're going to the whole drama side of things. And that's what sells right now, because nobody watches games. And to your point, Dart, I get so sick whenever there's a game and it's like I have to pay this additional fee on top of the $4,000 I pay a month for you know, internet and cable and everything. So now I have to pay for League Pass for a game that I really don't want to watch, but I'm so desperate to watch live basketball. That's what we're transitioning to. It's just gonna be highlights. Next year, it's just gonna be highlights. The games might be 10 minutes long. You know what I mean? Just embrace it. Just go for it, because you can't. They keep trying to go back to that singular model of, you know, one face of the league, but that's not happening anymore. It's not built for that. You need to have like a a family. Just get the Ball family out front and center. Just do it. I'm only half sarcastic with that. I do think Melo Ball has the there's something about him that I feel like you could probably put the league behind him. Not because he's great, just because he's entertaining, and he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
So wait, Speen, what about the third brother? You can't leave him out.
Well, that's the one that stole the sunglasses, right?
LiAngelo.
Yeah, LiAngelo.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen him work out in his dad's weight room a bunch on Instagram. I know he's in top shape. He wasn't. Listen, if you want to be real, he was on a G League team and kind of earned it. You can't say that. You can't say that about Bronny.
Well, that's my point. How is Jello not in the league?
I'm surprised. That's a really good point. I'm shocked nobody's brought that up.
Didn't he get hurt though? Right?
No, so he's a pretty good player in comparison to Bronny.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that Bronny would smoke me in basketball. Same with like anyone that's in the G League, they would smoke me in basketball.
No way, dude! I can beat like half the NBA easy.
You beat me too. I could beat half.
Yeah.
But the point of it is that LiAngelo has been a fringe NBA player, for a few years now. I think they've let him in on the summer league stuff. And to your point, he's earned it, and he would show out and he'd score, a high amount of points, 20, 30 points.
Yeah.
Without being, a real basketball scout or understanding the game at that level, I would imagine there's something that is really just not good for the NBA. But it seems like he could get some buckets up. And I remember even LeVar Ball saying that he thought that, LiAngelo was the best scorer or something along the lines of that. Like that he's actually a really good basketball player as well. And but to y'all's point, Bronny James is really just in the league by name and the whole hype job that LeBron James created behind it. So
I think if you get all three Ball brothers in the league, now all that hate that LeVar Ball got has to be taken back, because he got all three of his boys into the league. Even 2 out of 3 is so impressive. And I admit that I was wrong about like his approach. I'm not even going to say he willed that into existence. Like his sons, you could see them put in the work and just get dramatically better. And if Lonzo's not wearing those $900 basketball sneakers, maybe he doesn't have, the injuries that sets him back, because when he's healthy, he's really good to watch. He's really fun to watch. And Jello, like you said in the G League, 20, 30 points, easy. So all three Ball brothers on the same team, especially if they're a mid-market, they don't even have to be a major market. Mid-market team, man, that's money, because it's actually built for all three of them to start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Speen, let's be technical. LeVar Ball, like you said, has 2 out of 3. So that's at what? Is that not at 67%? So yeah, he definitely backed up what he was telling everybody before they got drafted. I mean, come on.
Does not get the credit he deserves for that. And he was right about how LeBron was coaching his son, or not coaching his son.
Oh, that's abundantly clear. Like we can see that. That's visible.
I think he should be commissioner. I think you fire what's his face, the Goblin dude, and then you make LeVar Ball the commissioner. Go for it.
I agree 1,000%.
Just go for it. I mean,
LeVar Ball for commissioner.
Just make him commissioner.
The Goblin. He does look like a ghoul or a ghost or
subterranean. Being.
Hey, no. Hey, y'all got wait. Y'all got to quote Scap. No, Commissioner Penis Head.
No, Scap's got like 90 words for him, and they're all accurate.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Can't stand that.
So this is something that's interesting. Jerry is charging $30 a month for a Chicago sports streaming service. That's crazy.
Jerry,
Jerry, who's Jerry?
I imagine Jerry, Colangelo, right?
Or Reinsdorf?
Reinsdorf, yeah, my bad. Reinsdorf, sorry.
I didn't know who Jerry was either.
Yeah.
Hey, Miles, how great is the service? Like, is it sufficient?
$30 a month sufficient ain't cutting it, who God.
I was just wondering,
Just for Chicago, though? Is that what it said?
Yeah, just for Chicago. Yeah. I dropped the links on on my channel if anyone wants to call up. You're welcome to call up.
Oh yeah, I gotta add Twitch. I forgot about that. I had a whole Twitch account. I hadn't used it in damn near a year.
I was gonna say before, since we're doing this weekly show, looks like the Bucks are coming back. I feel good about that one. I said they'd come back to top 5. Hopefully, they're sitting at number 5 right now. The Golden State Warriors, though, are number 1. I might end up having to eat a lot of crow on that one. I thought they would.
Who would have thought
top 3 in the West?
Golden State Warriors were going to be number 1 without Clay? Who would have thought?
Yeah. Well, over the last few years, I mean, Clay is, even though he's been playing, a lot of people have said that he's lost a step. So, I mean,
I think he looks fine. I'm watching him. His lateral movement looks good. I think he's playing good defense. I mean, obviously not what he used to be, but I think Clay looks fine. I honestly do. He looks better than what I would have expected.
No, they were still harping on Clay when he came back his first year. Like, no, when you suffer injuries like that, an Achilles and then ACL or MCL, no, it's going to take you like literally an entire year, and then you got to come back to form. So essentially, it's that next year, not the year you come back, but the next year. So I agree. Like, Clay's never been a leaper, so his game is horizontal defense, moving, catching, and shooting.
Yeah, I think he looks fine though.
Jamal, welcome, Jamal. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. Yeah, I like to listen to you guys talk because I didn't know whether to come on and talk about the topic or whatever I see is going on in the league. Yeah, definitely. As far as just to go with the original topic, yeah, the Sixers, their franchise is in serious trouble. They're in serious jeopardy. And me being in Toronto right now, it's making my guy Nick Nurse look very, very mortal. And Joel Embiid. I mean, it really is making the whole league look soft because it's like everybody. It's November, and how many guys are injured right now? And so it's like, so you have all these guys that are hurt. And to me, I think playing whenever they feel like it, while they're making all these bukus of money, and I have no idea where they're getting the money from. Like the WNBA is passed up the NBA in viewership, as they should, because for 3 reasons: the WNBA players are hot, they're much better as the players, and they play like the 90s, 2000s. Whereas these guys, if you blow on them, it's a flagrant one. They watched like the Lakers and Nuggets last night. These guys are traveling and doing all kind of stuff. I mean, it was really goofy. That's why I thank God for the in-season tournament, because that's the only time they actually play basketball. Whereas the WNBA, these girls get slammed to the floor, they get elbowed, they fight, they go to the locker room and come out with their hair done. Like, so it's like, I mean, I don't know what to say for the NBA. I mean, it seems like I agree with what God was saying. This year, Adam Silver seems to actually be trying to like do something to change things, and they're coming up with some weird ideas, like the All-Star game. They're gonna make it into a turn, because even Obama was like, that All-Star game is dying. And so, I think they had Steph Curry and a bunch of guys do input. But the problem with the All-Star, okay, so fine, they fixed the All-Star game. Now who's going to be available to play? So it's like, I mean, so that's the other problem with the league. On top of the gameplay, where it's a 3-point shooting contest, okay, fine. They get the gameplay together. Now who's available to play? So, I mean, that's the frustration I have with the league, is that either the gameplay sucks or the guys are not available to play.
Jamal, what's wild about the WNBA though is because it's subsidized by the NBA, they still haven't turned a quote unquote profit. So as successful as it is, it's still on paper a failing product, despite the support it's getting from the WNBA also, or from the NBA, sorry. Also, you're not allowed to call them hot. So Dart will probably have And it, like I said, I think last season was beautiful, but it relied a lot on racial tension and drama and all this other nonsense instead of just pure basketball, which the WNBA is proof of pure basketball. And to your point about all these guys falling and getting hurt and sitting out games, I know it's been mentioned before, but these guys are supposed to be stronger, faster, harder willed, better built, all that stuff. But yet, we're in November and it's like, man, it looks like World War II out there. That everyone's just like
fragile.
Yeah, it's attrition. It's like a lot of casualties already. And you're right with that.
Jamal, what do you think? What do you think of?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Nick. My bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
He called me Nick.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, okay. Well, there's an easy. You guys all look the same joke in there, but I really thought it was Nick.
I was hoping to pull for that. No. Anyway, what do you think about the in-season tournament, Jamal?
Well, like I was saying, is that it is better this year. It's not quite as silly looking. Yeah, they have those ridiculous looking courts, but I mean, I guess they want to make it look exciting. But I do like the in-season tournament this year only because it looks. It looks like regular basketball, whereas the normal regular season is just a horrendous 3-point shooting contest. Nobody's playing defense. I mean, I was watching Sacramento and somebody. All they did was shoot threes the whole game. I didn't see no plays. I didn't see nothing. They're not playing no defense. So the in-season tournament, it looks like regular basketball. So that's why I like the in-season tournament, because it has these funky-looking courts, and they play real basketball.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of it because I think I agree with what was said earlier, is that it's better to try and fix it than not try to fix it. I just don't think this is the real answer. I think they're treating the symptom versus the cause, or however they say in medical terms, because the symptom is that people aren't watching, so they're trying to give some Tylenol to the real problem, is that these players don't want to play hard. So let's give you $1 million so you can play hard right now. But that's the point is that they don't want to do that, and for primarily, the extent of the regular season, arguably just to play devil's advocate, maybe the end of the season they play a little harder, unless they're streamlined all the way in. But it's really just trying to treat the symptom versus the cause of the problem, because you're just dangling $1 million in front of people to play a little harder. That's really what they're doing. And they're trying to draw viewership from there. And it's sad. What's up?
And I said, and I get that, because you think it's like, well, why isn't 30, 40, 50 million enough for you to play hard? Why, as a matter of fact, why is that not enough for you to want to play at all? Like I was saying about the WNBA, those girls are tougher than the NBA because it's physical, and because they don't make as much money, they have to play. Whereas these guys, it's like I know people get hurt, and I know they're supposedly bigger, faster, and stronger, and all that. But it's just like they just keep having the same injuries, the same problem. Like, look at Joel Embiid, right? I mean, what is it about him that's so unique? He's getting, his knees are hurt. His knees are ground beef. Why? Because his diet is bad. How long have we known that if you don't eat right and you're a big man, that you could get hurt? Like, I mean, everybody knows that. Everybody knows if you're a fat person, you can have back problems. So you're telling me expert trainers of his don't know that? So it's not like these are unique problems that's like, oh my God, this is real 21st century shit. No, it's not. It's age-old stuff. So it's like Joel Embiid, he's a big baby. He's not even a real leader. Like, at least when Derrick Rose was hurt on the Bulls, he was providing leadership to the other guys on the Bulls. That's why they were still competing in the playoffs, even when they shouldn't have been. And taking LeBron and the Heat to 6 and 7 games with no Derrick Rose. But like these guys, Joel Embiid, yeah, he's really going out sad. And as far as like Ant Edwards, I like Ant Edwards, but would they please stop overrating this boy? Like, he's not Michael Jordan. He's not Kobe. I don't know that he'll ever be D Wade. He's an interesting, new age player. He shoots a few too much threes, but ultimately, I mean, there's nothing. I don't want to diss him because I like him, but like, there's nothing overly special about him. So then, when you start looking at the other superstars like Doncic and Jokic, it's like they said Michael Jordan lost the plumbers. That's why I love that guy Jordan versus LeBron, because he's like, well, look, the two best players in the NBA are plumbers. You have Luka Doncic and Jokic. What is so out of this world about their athleticism? I mean, their skill is out of this world. Jokic, anyway. But I think Shaq and Hakeem Olajuwon and Embiid would destroy him. But like the only guys right now I really respect are Steph Curry and Giannis. Steph Curry, he changed the game, and I don't blame him for shooting threes, but everybody else is corny for doing that. And you have Giannis, who's the best transition player in the league. He's a real man. He's a real guy. I just think Dame Lillard is messing up that team, and Doc Rivers.
That's something that I've jumped on immediately after that trade happened. And look what happened when Drew Holiday left and he went to the Celtics. I think Drew Holiday is a wildly undervalued player. He can play defense. He's able to play some decent offense as well. And they traded him, and he's a glue guy. He's he's a gritty guy. If you play, this is a general statement, but if you play hard on defense, you're generally going to be more of a glue guy than an offense guy. And when you trade him for Dame Lillard, who has been coddled the entire time in Portland just to shoot shots from half court, that was his whole thing. Is this guy can shoot from deep? He's kind of like Steph Curry, and except they never really won anything. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they may have gotten to the second round once while he was in Portland.
Well, they went to the Western Conference Finals and they got swept without Kevin Durant. Without Kevin Durant.
They made it in 2019, but like Jamal said, they got swept, so that's not really nothing to brag on.
But to the point of it is that I remember that now. But to the point of it is that I thought that at the time, I thought that was a ridiculously dumb trade. Is that I thought that, but I'm also biased as a Sixers fan, and I like Drew Holiday. I actually have Drew Holiday's jersey from the Sixers. But to the point of it is that I just thought that was a dumb move, and I think it's proving out to be a dumb move. What have they been doing?
I wish they would have kept Coach Bud. I can't stand Doc Rivers. I think they really downgraded coaches. The black dude they fired him, and now they got Doc Rivers, and it's like they've been going downhill ever since. And it's just like, oh my God, what is these guys doing? Like, there's a saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The problem is that Milwaukee kept losing to Miami. And Jimmy Butler. That was the real problem. Miami just kept fluking out. Like, they would beat Boston, they would beat Milwaukee, and it's just like, I don't know what it was. But it wasn't that they needed to fire Coach Bud. I mean, maybe they did because he wouldn't make adjustments. That's why the Raptors beat them. But like, they won a championship with that team. So you're going to trade Drew Holiday away. You're going to fire Coach Bud. And now look at the situation there. And now Giannis I can't imagine how Giannis feels right now. Like, this is a disaster. And then Philly is a disaster. I mean, the only bright spots in the East, Boston, Cleveland. I'm shocked Cleveland is this good. That guy Franz Wagner and Orlando, he's looking pretty good. But everything else in the East, and LaMelo Ball is exciting, but he's in Charlotte, so he can just do whatever he wants and just throw the ball around and dance and do all type of stuff and then get hurt. But other than that, I don't see too many bright spots in the East. And then in the West, I see a lot of underachieving. Minnesota, they're supposed to be a contender, but they don't look. I don't know. They just don't look contenders. The Lakers are fool's gold. The Clippers, I don't know what happened with them. And then San Antonio, they need to get somebody else to help out with. Like I said, this league is really flimsy. So that's why Golden State is the team that's the best in the West right now, because I mean, they're the only real team. Everybody else is flimsy and getting hurt all the time, and I don't know what's going on with this league.
Absolutely. It's a sidebar real fast. I'm going to be having a debate next Sunday on a Casual Sports Fans channel. Bob Cousy versus Steph Curry. Who's greater? You can guess which side I'm taking.
Yeah, which one, Dart? Which one?
Well, you can guess. That's what I said. You have to guess.
I mean, Bob Cousy just sounds, even if you don't watch basketball, I'm like, yeah, Bob Cousy sounds like someone Dart's taken. It sounds like the name of somebody from when he loved basketball, even if I didn't know basketball.
Respect to Bob Cousy, the original Houdini and Hardwood.
Respect, of course.
Yeah, definitely respect for him. But he ain't better than Steph Curry.
No, yeah.
Greater is the word. Greater is the word. Better is a matter of perspective. Not that greater isn't, but better. You can't flatten time with better, because you have to take into account when they played and all of that. Like you can't. You know what I mean? That you just lean to the latest is the greatest argument with this better stuff, because that's how humanity looks at everything in the world, is that the latest is the greatest. There aren't really any other aspects of life in respects to being what's better. Nobody, generally, people won't say that a 1960 Mustang is better, than a Hell Charger or whatever, the Dodge. You know what I'm saying?
When is this? When is this?
Whatever, it's the same thing. Charger and Hellcat.
When's this debate? When's the debate?
On Sunday.
Next Sunday. Okay. Because I'm definitely checking that out. You're talking about better versus greatest and flattening time and space travel and interstellar. And I never thought about it from that perspective, just the recency bias. Are you able to say whose channel, or is that like the ops?
No, a Casual Sports Fan. That's
their name. Oh, got it. I thought you were taking like a shot at some of the.
No. That's what he calls himself.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, I play the all-time league on 2K, so I see what all the old players can do. So if Bob Cousy was playing today, because he's rated like 96 on the game, so if he was playing today, he definitely would be on the highlight reels, and he would definitely be like he would be talked about. He was that good. And I think that era is underrated, though. I don't know. I think over time, NBA has gotten more skilled. The problem with the NBA I think the NBA is being stunted because of the development issues at AAU compared to the development issues in Europe. That's the real issue. Otherwise, the guys should be better. Right now, Ant Edwards should be better than Michael Jordan. But the problem is, Ant Edwards didn't grow up the way Michael Jordan grew up. I don't want to blame single motherhood as the reason why players later on might not have been as more manly. I don't want to go there. But I will say that culture and the way kids are raised and all that is definitely showing itself in the league now. Like, you could definitely see, like, the way guys act.
No. Go there, because that's a part of it. Go there.
I mean, like I'm a single dad myself, but when you see guys, like, they just don't have much heart. You see what I'm saying? Now, contrast that to the WNBA, you can tell they have some really super strong mothers that are like, listen, you got to do this, you got to be that, you got to do for yourself. Nobody's gonna do for you. Nobody's gonna give you nothing. This, that, and the third. The guys in the NBA, they've been told the opposite their whole life. They've been coddled. All the girls have been on them. They probably never had to pay for anything in high school. They don't feel the need to have to prove themselves. So it shows itself. They get a nick. They don't want to come back in the game. Playoff time, things don't go the way they want to go. You see them fighting with the teammates. Like, it's just a lot of prima donna behavior. Now, the WNBA has their own toxicity to it, but I think that you definitely can see, like who got said, he said you want me to go there, so I will. You can definitely tell by how they were raised. That's all I can say. You can definitely how people were raised.
You got to take away the guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
No matter how you were raised at this point, because I agree with everything you're saying, you have to take away the guaranteed contracts, or at the least make them, like how every running back gets a contract where they hit X amount of yards or X touchdowns, then they get, these payouts. You have to do that in the NBA. Otherwise, you're going to have guys just sitting because they know that they can. I know that they tried to combat that with that 65 games so they can be eligible for awards and all that. But other than the MVP, they don't really like. I don't think that's the draw for them. It's the easy money. It's the I'm going to get paid $14,000 a minute because I clipped my thumbnail the wrong way and on my shooting hand. So now the logistics say I should sit out. I don't know when guaranteed contracts started, but in the WNBA, you're hungry for that money because it's not guaranteed. Those European guys, guys like Jokic, they come from war-torn areas. Like his life is on the line. Have you seen his brothers? They're crazy. They're psychopaths. In the best way, if they ever see this, because I don't want them on my radar ever.
Those servants can play.
That's what I'm saying. They're hungry because they need it. That's why Luke has been playing professional basketball since he was like 9. That was his way out.
That's true.
Guys, they don't need that because they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine with the NIL deals. They're going to be fine with the endorsements. Also, look out for this. So Trae Young just got signed. He just left Adidas and got signed to Jordan Brand. So I'll be curious to see how much he's pushed as well. I mean, they can't push him as an all-star, but being pushed as whatever can sell. Now that he's on a higher selling shoe brand, it's all about the money. They don't have to work for it, so they don't.
And I suppose they're going to trade him. They want to trade him to San Antonio. I'm interested to see how a Wemby Trae Young situation would work out. I get the feeling it would be a whole lot of show. As my dad used to say, a whole lot of sizzle and no steak.
70
degrees. Wemby definitely has the skills and stuff like that, but I just don't think the way the league is. He's a European player, but like Trae Young, because I've been hearing Trae Young is supposed to get traded to San Antonio soon. But I heard that Trae Young, he left Adidas. He's having all kind of issues in Atlanta. But again, they let him do whatever he wanted to do for the whole long, and now it's coming back to bite them.
Yep.
He never played no defense. He never had any. They didn't have any structure down there. They had potential, they had talent, but they don't have any structure. So now Trae Young is the Trae Young that we see is the product of what they created, just like Joel Embiid and the Sixers.
He was feeling himself too much when they beat the Knicks, and he was kind of pandering to the crowd and talking trash. Like, yeah, he killed them. But that's what he's known for now. It's the guy that bowed at the game and said, get this out the stadium. Because granted, he was playing great, but he doesn't have the cachet. He doesn't have the foundation to just have a name built on that. You know what I mean? He's kind of in no man's land now.
And that's the thing about that's what it is about Trae Young. I just don't feel no substance from him. I just feel like he's just an empty bunch of dribbles and shoot. Like Iverson had heart. Like that was substance. Tim Hardaway, he was a real dude. Trae Young is just, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be another Trae Young sometime in the near future. Like he's just, like he has skills, but I just see him as a dime a dozen type of guy. Like I just look him at it as an empty suit. He just dribbles and wild shots, and he does not shoot an efficient percentage neither. Like some of the stuff, he does some cold ass plays. I give him that, but I just feel like he's empty. Like I wouldn't want to be.
He's JJ Redick with curly hair and a tan. That's all he is, man.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about Henny Hardaway in the chat? Stacking. He's calling. I think he's saying some nasty things about y'all being black and saying things that you're saying, and then he says, "Why don't you try to talk positive about American players? Y'all sound old and jealous right now. What do y'all think about that?"
Isn't the point to be the same on
Wait,
no matter
who said this?
Henny Hardaway.
Henny Hardaway.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that the whole point, is to be consistent on your takes, no matter what nationality they are? I mean, if anything, it's counterproductive to do what he's asking, or she. I'm not sure.
I need to know. No, I need to know. Like, well, if correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't analysts been critical of athletes since the beginning of time? So would we say Howard Cosell was old and jealous, or Bob Ryan? Are those guys old and jealous? I mean, when the guys are not playing up the part, you're supposed to get critiqued. Like, what do you want us to do? You want us to put kid gloves on and say, well, he just had a bag. And nah, I'm not doing all that. If you don't like it, leave.
This is when it gets exhausting, because I'd rather people call in instead of just leaving, chats that could be taken out of context. I think it's a good conversation. And I mean, up until this point, I've managed to not take anything personal or say anything personal about anybody. And I'm going to stay true to that. It's just call in if that's how you feel. If you're going to generalize and say we only say negative things, I mean, that's not true. And if you want to do that, then I've got the spare time. I'll go through this moment by moment and see when I was positive. So if you're going to generalize and just be hyperbolic like that, at least back it up.
And what I would say is that he clearly, I'm just wondering, is he watching what's going on? Because ultimately, I mean, the NBA ratings are down. Like all the results that we're talking about show for themselves. So if he feels that way, then maybe he can call in and explain why ratings are down so much and why the best players in the NBA are foreign plumbers and why the WNBA is getting more excitement. Maybe he can explain that part.
He'll just, we're old. I mean, I do go to sleep at like 7:00, so he's not wrong about that. But that's just that's the response is we're old and haters.
Yeah, and like I'm a fan, so one thing I've said before is like no one owns basketball, right? So like it's not like we're here trying to punish people or like call them evil or immoral or something. It's just you know what I mean? Like there are things going on right now that I just think are not conducive to good basketball. That being said, like I still watch the Mavericks. I love watching all the games, right? I still enjoy the game. Like I said, I try not to be. One thing that he said that I do agree with is I say this all the time too. I never want to be the old guy that's just kind of trying to choke culture the way I want it to be. It's not really mine anymore, right? It belongs to the kids. So that being said, I don't like a lot of things going on, but I can still watch and be positive, and there's still plenty of things to like about the game. But I think on this show, we try to be critical or sort of evaluate what's going on. And it's just, from our point of view, what it was to what it is now, it's just not an overall good trend, I would say, right? But again, it's not like any of us go to bed like fucking Embiid, it's not like we're doing that. We're just talking, we're just critical.
But wait, Nick, this is why I said, see, he's only telling part of the story. He's only looking at the critical part. But have we not given Klay Thompson praise, the Golden State Warriors praise, the OKC Thunder praise,
Melo Ball, LeVar Ball, the Ball brothers,
the Cleveland Cavaliers? I mean, the list goes on. No, it's a healthy balance. The teams that are playing well are going to get praise, and the teams that are playing like cow manure are going to get criticized. It's just that simple.
Speaking of cow manure, you got AOH in here.
It's Richard. Is Richard Jefferson welcoming me into the show?
AOH, good day, sir.
Hey. Hello, gentlemen. I'm just calling in for Steam Engine to abuse me for a little bit.
Well, this is the first time that you'll be able to do that in a while, since he's always had something come up for the last.
Just move past it.
Hey, did you guys try to explain Ben Simmons's missed layup? I mean, I know it's bad that it was wide open, but it was so weird looking.
I saw that clip. I thought it was AI. That's how bad it was. I thought someone made an AI clip of Ben Simmons missing a layup as a joke, and it was a real play. I had to watch like 5 times. I couldn't believe how bad it was.
And even after watching it, I'm guessing you can't explain it.
yeah, like, no, it's AI. That's the only way I can explain it. I'm still just sticking with that.
The way he slapped the backboard is like he was trying to block his own shot.
Yeah, so weird. Oh shit, that's funny.
He needs to retire. Him and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, man.
Why?
He's just
Why would
not.
anyone? Why would anybody
Yeah.
retire when they're paying you to be worthless? I mean, it is part of the problem. You know, you guys brought up the guaranteed contracts, and it's absolutely a huge part of the problem. Of course it is. There aren't any consequences. How often do we talk about there aren't any consequences?
Would you like to see the NBA do something like what the NFL did, where there's like they bring the rookie minimum kind of down a little bit, and you kind of what you get paid in kind of depends on where you were picked?
Yeah, maybe. But, you know, the prices are so high now that the price that I would say the minimum would be, I would get laughed at. But if you want people to be hungry again, even, you know, the bottom of the barrel can't still be instant millionaires, which is what it, you know, even if they brought it down, I'm guessing. Like the league minimum right now is $1 million, right?
I don't know what it is.
Hey, wait, what would you have it be? You said that number would get laughed at. What's the number in your head?
Oh shit! If they made what I made, they'd get real hungry.
Well, you're going WNBA punches.
Guys, I would develop a 3-point shot real fast.
Yeah, it's a little over a minimum, $1 mil for the minimum.
That's it.
Yeah, for players with no years of experience, the minimum salary is 1.1 million.
How are they supposed to live on that, Nick?
Wait. Is that's not for second round picks though? With those, that's for guaranteed contracts, though, right?
So, like the minimum NBA salary for this season. Remember, like the NBA has how many years you played, kind of like it kind of boosts up your minimums. So, like the absolute minimums for no one with no years of experience, a guy you just went and got off the street, he would be 1.1 million.
And did you hear
so draft picks, yes, get paid more.
Did you hear that the caller's reaction was that's it? And well, what have these people done to become millionaires? And yet he even thinks, I'm not trying to talk shit, but we're so conditioned for these guys to get paid so much that you're like, oh, only 1.1 million? And yet these people haven't done anything. Why? What did you do? What did you do to be a millionaire?
And what's Bronny James? Is 4 years, 8 mil, something like that?
Yeah.
So his is twice his is twice that. And
Bronny James has a guaranteed contract. D'Angelo should have a 10-year contract.
I agree.
It's clear that this has been a multi-year collusion to make his son a millionaire. Because why else would you stay in Lakerland per se, other than for the comfortability of it? Now, I love Los Angeles. I love Southern California. I haven't spent time in the Bay Area, AOH. I'm sure that's beautiful as well. But I got to say, outside of places like Hawaii or the Caribbean or some places in Indonesia like Bali and stuff like that, the aspect of it is that there's only so many beautiful places in the world. In the United States, for me, I would have to say Florida's beautiful in its own way, and Miami or Tampa. But the aspect of it is that I think for the perfect weather, it's not sticky hot. It's nice and 70, 80 degrees generally all year long, except for the morning it'll get cold. But San Diego, Los Angeles area, like why else would you live there other than to be comfortable, other than to stay the face of the league and take these L's, even though you've won so much in Cleveland and Miami? Why not just stay there and have this backroom deal to say, hey, you're going to sign my son and make him rich too, off of my, not just on my name, in respect to that the money's going directly to him.
I don't know about that. LeBron makes money that's just stupid. Like I just feel like why doesn't he just give his son $5 million? He'll be a millionaire. Like what's it matter? You know,
you live in a millionaire playing goddamn Tekken.
Yeah, like his son probably could have done a lot of stuff and got brand deals.
Being a streamer, being a YouTuber, he would have been just. He would have had his own Nike sneaker as a YouTuber. It would have happened. I promise you.
What story is better though? That LeBron James was able to train his son, because he did all of it apparently, train his son to become an NBA player, and then
the
go
flex of it.
Yeah, to me, I look at it as if it's that's how it is that why stay there otherwise, other than you get to live in a beautiful place, you got the money to live there in a mansion, Hollywood Hills or wherever he lives. I don't know where he lives. And then you get to say that, well, I'm so great that I'm even able to get my son into the NBA. Whether, regardless, in history, you look on paper and you're going to see that his son played. Whether, people are going to forget this nonsense that's been happening now. They're just going to say LeBron James' son played in the NBA as well. And that's just another thing to add to his value as a great player, or in the now argument that he's to go.
Yeah, I can understand the title of just wanting to say your kid made the NBA, but I don't think the money per se has much to do with it. But yes, the ego of wanting to say I got my kid in the NBA, I can agree with you on that one.
Well, is LeBron giving money out like that? Like, do you think he's going to do you think he's one of those guys who's going to give his fortune to his children?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that's kind of a boomer thing to not give your kids your money.
There's a lot of people that don't do that.
Gonna be like that.
I think he will bury himself with his money.
No.
I think he's gonna try and bring it with him. I think he's gonna try and bring it with him.
I think he's dumb enough to think, or arrogant enough to think that wherever he goes after we pass, he'll still have the same household name. He'll still be bitching about whatever. I truly believe that he will bury himself with his money.
No, because you think about it, he's gonna have foundations and charities. He's gonna want his name to be in the realm of what we're talking about for as long as possible.
But that's different than just handing it to your. But that's different than handing it to your children. If you give it to charity, that's how you live on in a way. If you get
but his kids will let's say he really starts up a charity and it becomes huge or something, his kids will run that. You know what I mean? His family more than likely will run that, in my opinion, or be part of it in some way. I don't think he's just gonna completely leave his kids out to dry for the fact that he still has a last name that he wants to be relevant, right? So once you're dead, your kids are the best way to do that.
I think he's going to try to patent the last name James.
I think that he's such a super millennial, and I think that because of how I don't want to get to how he grew up, but I think he has enough of a hood mentality where it's nah, man, that's the rule. You got to pass to your kids and your homies, and you got to get back to the block, and then you can pass. So I feel like he wants to play that game. As disingenuous as I think LeBron is, I think that what Steam Engine is saying, the spirit of who LeBron is correct. But I don't think he's going to be that greedy, only because he still has a hood mentality, and that's the only saving grace for his kids.
I just point out, LeBron still doesn't pay for Pandora Premium, despite being a multimillionaire. LeBron pirates games. There's footage of him pirating great games onto his tablet, and he's not paying for League Pass. So this dude is super cheap. He said he gave his kid the blueprint for how to do it, and that's what he did. Get signed to an NBA contract, become a millionaire. The kids just live in the blueprint, as LeBron said. The whole idea, she wants his kid to get raised up too, but he wants him to earn his own bag, because I don't see LeBron handing anything out. I don't see him doing anything just to be generous. And if anybody's got an example of that, I'd love to hear
it.
Well, look what he's done for his kids so far, right?
Everything that I've
did it cost him anything, or did he make money?
He had to put some effort
just a way
into
for LeBron to get even more compensation from the NBA or from his team. Otherwise, this is money laundering, right?
It really is. It is.
His family's getting way overcompensated because of this extra salary. It's when Dame had his cousin here. We had Blevins on the Blazers for 4 years. Kelvin Blevins. That dude sucked. There's a way for us to pay Dame even more money by having his cousin here.
I guess it's just hard to say it two ways, because if he is an egomaniac, then I definitely see him leaving his money to keep his name around for as long as possible when he's done.
Yeah, he's got the school, and the school's named after him, right?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, yeah, okay, but tell me something that doesn't benefit him, that benefits somebody else.
Well, by benefiting your kids, the kid aspect is a little different because by benefiting your kids, you're benefiting your last name, like your legacy, right? It's so by, again, if he just gives money away, a one-time thing, okay, 30 years from now, no one's going to remember that. But again, if his kids are set up and they're still talking about their dad 20 years after he's gone or whatever, making new charities, spreading the money out continuously, right? Then I would say he does that, right? So it's kind of like
he lifts up his people, right? Rich Paul's rich because of him. Maverick Carter's rich because of him. I mean, right? There's a lot of people he's lifted up as a result of his success. I'm not arguing with that. But he could have just gave his kid a job at what is it, Uninterrupted or whatever his production company was, or Spring Hill, or he's got a lot of business ventures. He could have put him up in any of this stuff. It's the fact that he's getting into the Lakers that is the whole problem, right? And I think that's the whole deal. And it's just a matter to get more. I mean, this isn't costing him anything.
Yeah, and let's say Bronny James gets cut 2-3 years from now or whatever, or he finally kind of drops out of the league or the G League or whatever. LeBron's gonna find him a job, right, or something, or like he'll definitely do that.
Honestly, Brian's got more money than anybody here, as far as I know. He hasn't done anything yet.
Well, the funny.
Well, I don't want to show off my financials, but
I've got about 5 digits, including the decimal. No. No, but the aspect of it is that's the big. I think that's the big beef with a lot of people, is that it's with the Lakers, like of all things, and it really just slaps in the face the prospect of integrity within the NBA. That's what I think about it, and especially with your son. It's not even just your brother; it's your son. You know what I mean? It's really just strong arming somebody, and being in the position LeBron is in, being arguably the face of the NBA still, is that you're strong arming the NBA, particularly the Lakers, to sign your son. And then he's also, and because of the things he said with that my son's better than a bunch of NBA players, and does anyone believe that now, actually seeing him play in the NBA? I don't think so.
His kid plays just like him, right? He's way better than a bunch of NBA players. His kid plays just like him, but his kid's 6'1".
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever. All these people saying, "Oh, he needs to get better, needs more seasoning," whatever. Dude, he's 6'1". How many 6'1" players are successful in the NBA at all? I mean, this is a tiny percentage. And for anybody to make this stretch like, "Oh, I needed more seasoning if he'd stayed at USC longer." Oh, bullshit. Was he going to get taller because he stayed at USC for another year? He just doesn't have the physique for it, and that's clearly what the problem is. I mean, and yes, was it a power move to shoehorn him in here? Yeah, you got him, Bron. You own the league, but does it help anybody? No, it doesn't. I think it's shitty to his kid. I'm a dad. I would never have done this to my son. I would never have put him in this kind of position. I've been waiting for AOH or somebody to show the moment that Bronny gets drafted. It was on the starting 5. I don't know if you have seen that. Watch that kid's face the moment they announced him on the Lakers. I felt so sad for this guy, and I continue to.
I actually was going to make a song, and it was during the time that Gilbert Arenas called in, so I kind of just stopped in the middle of it. But I was going to make a song, just the two of us, and with him and LeBron and Bronny, and that was the beginning of the music video. But it's a project I haven't finished. But it's him getting drafted, and so I know exactly what you're looking like, or what you're talking about. What he looked like is that, he just was like, man, like a given not earned kind of face.
Yeah, watch Bronny's face when they're together, and like that kid, he knows. And that's why it feels bad to trash him, because he seems like a good kid. He knows, but you're going to stand up. Is he going to stand up to LeBron of all people? Of course not.
Yeah.
If the Lakers don't draft Bronny, I mean, I don't think he goes undrafted, but he definitely goes directly to the G League. I think right.
He's going to get cooked in the G, man. I go to Rip City Remix games. He's going to get cooked in the G. Those guys are hungry.
He had a bad G game already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and LeBron knows that. LeBron knows his son will get cooked because his son is not an NBA player. And I'm watching Henny Hardaway here. The only thing he said I agree with is that they play nothing alike. And if they do play alike, that's terrible because LeBron couldn't shoot when he came in the league. And his son is only 6'1", so he can't drive the ball. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end. I have no idea this is going to end because he can't go like John, he was just saying. He can't go to the G. Those guys are too hungry. He can't play overseas because those guys are too hungry and they have real fundamentals. So the only thing he can do is sit on the Lakers and be a mascot and, be friends with the other sportscasters that LeBron, got a job for, like Richard Jefferson and Big Perk and those people and Brian McNana, I mean, and people like that. That's all you could do.
I want to answer what Henny Hardaway said. He said, you would never have got your son an $8 million contract before he was 21 if you could. It's not if you could, it's if you should. Because there's a lot of people that can do a lot of things in force at a leverage of where they are, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Just because you're the top at somewhere, at a business and like not even to go down a dark realm, if you're at the top somewhere and you use your leverage to get something done that isn't the right thing to do, that means you're a fucking shitty dad. Excuse my language, because you're teaching your son that it's okay to do those things.
Yeah, for me, commercial airline pilots make a good wage too. Am I going to get my son a job flying a commercial aircraft? No, because he fucking crash. He doesn't know how to fly a plane. Getting the money. The bag is only half of it. Then you have to do the job. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he got him the bag, but the kid can't do the job. That's what the problem is. He's going to be like my kid in the airplane. He's going to go into the ground because he's just not qualified for the role. That's what the problem is. It's not getting him paid. It's getting him paid for something he can't do.
And not to mention the NBA is not a family, auto business, right? So you're taking other people's jobs away. There's kids out there that are hungry, people from all over the world that are hungry, and your dad is already super rich and he's getting you into the league. And it's the Lakers. So the Lakers is Hollywood and it's a circus. I don't even know if he could do this with the Cleveland Cavs, to be honest with you. Maybe he might be able to get Bronny 2 years, but I don't think the Cleveland Cavs would give him no 4 years. So the point that I'm making is that, because there's lots of people out there that are saying what this Henny Hardaway dude is saying, oh, you're mad because a black man was able to get his son. Bro, this is nepotism. This is corruption. You got the Clutch Sports thing going on, which I think would be a great thing if LeBron was retired, not while he's still playing. That's what people don't understand. So he's still playing. He has Clutch Sports. He has guys that are on sports media, ESPN, that basically parrot his talking points, and then you have your son. So, okay, congratulations. You got a lot of power and a lot of leverage, and you abused it. I guess you feel you're greater than Michael Jordan because you knew how to push your weight around and be a bully and be a diva.
But that's the main thing, because he also says about Lakers owner got her job based off of nepotism. That's ownership. That's not. LeBron James doesn't own the Lakers. He's saying, I will stay on the Lake. I'm not saying this is exactly what is said, but there's some levers to say, hey, I will stay on the Lakers and get you more money if you draft my son. Or, I'm going to break what's going on here. If you want to use jiu-jitsu terms, he's got the Lakers in an arm bar, and he's going to either let them go or not, where he leaves because he's the face of the team, if not the league. Dr. Buss passed down the business to Jeannie Buss. Henny Hardaway, I believe you understand the difference. I think you're stretching here, but that's besides the point.
But anyway. yeah, that's the real issue of it. There's areas where nepotism works, and there's areas where it clearly does not work. And so for anybody who doesn't see that, it's because they don't want to see it. And that speaks to where our society is today. And that's why it's the way it is. Because people play sides and push agendas. And by the way, that's also a hallmark of the LeBron era. I don't want to be a LeBron hater. He's a millennial. I'm a Capricorn born in 83. He's a Capricorn born in 84. I'm from Chicago. He's from the Midwest. I don't really want to be a LeBron hater. I didn't become one until he went to Miami. And then I started to see how they changed the whole league around, and it became fruity and it became overly liberal in the wrong way. I'm a progressive. I support Bernie Sanders, but still, I didn't like the way it was becoming. And then you start to see the attitude of the players. And then you start to see this player empowerment where all they're doing is teaming up, not playing, being disrespectful to the coaches, being disrespectful to the fans, jumping teams. So now they can't even make jerseys. So now when they're like, oh, what's wrong with the brand? It's not like the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, because guys play with teams so jerseys could sell. Jerseys can't sell nowadays because all these guys do is wear tight clothes and designer fashion and all this. Like, I mean, it's a weird league. And they play weird. And they don't have any swag. These guys have no swag. So there's no way of a guy to be a face of the league because they're these flimsy guys. That's why in the WNBA, they have women who can be the face because they're built to be strong. These guys are built to be prima donnas and be coddled. And so AD can't be the face of the league, even if he has the skill. And Edwards can't be the face of the league because I don't think he quite does have the skill. I mean, if he does, not by much. Luka Doncic is foreign, so they don't really want that to happen. And Joel Embiid is a big baby. So, I mean, what can we say? Joel Embiid's not American, but he has the same kind of bad habits. But still, like, his league is bad. And, you know, when you look at this as the NBA, you know what I mean? And these guys are supposed to be the best in the world. People look up to these guys, and you're starting to see the NBA is reminiscent to what's happening in society. It's just, you see society breaking apart, you see the league breaking apart and becoming watered down and fruity.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, for me, it's just too much money. I mean, it's just becoming a millionaire is a multimillionaire is a bigger deal than becoming an NBA player, right? That's the more elite club that they're joining, and so like they have all of that in common that we don't have in common. You know, it's like, what do they have to do with our cities or with their fan bases or whatever? They have more in common with the fellow millionaires that they travel around the world with, and they all party with, and they share agents with, and all of that. And so nobody roots for the laundry anymore. I mean, I don't know if it's you millennial guys, I'm older, but it seems like everybody roots for players now. I still root for the laundry, man. I'm a Trailblazers,
yeah,
and I'm waiting for a decent freaking player to show up around here. I'm tired of my team cratering. I'm tired of I had to drop my season tickets because my team sucks too much. But some of us still root for teams, and that seems to be gone.
And it's because I remember Gucci Mane right during the Eastern Conference Finals when the Raptors were playing Bucks. He's like, I don't care about the teams. I only care about the players, because the idea originally is, oh, these white owners are getting these black players to do. That's how the mentality started. But I always knew there's a reason why things are structured the way they are. And now people are finding out the hard way. These players have no loyalty. They only have loyalty to each other. Because think about it. They want to team up with their friends. And then 2 years later, they're falling out. They're having public disputes. Things are leaking. And then now they want to team up someplace else with some other superstars. Are they their friends too? So even with that, you know, they get to play with their friends. You see how these guys are. They're too flaky. They're too flimsy. So, like I said, it's like a group of 16-year-old girls, you know, giving them tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, and saying you have all this power. What do you think is going to happen? These guys are not, they don't have any emotional maturity. They don't care to, you know, now Edwards, I will give him that. He does seem to want to carry, he wants to bring the city of, you know, he wants to bring Minnesota a championship. He cares about that. But his buddy Cat, I'm glad he's gone. He did not care about that at all. And like I said, like you said, John G, it started to become apparent when you start watching these parties, hearing all this about Diddy, and you're seeing who was at these parties, and you start to realize that might be true. Maybe it is because they care. They're like, hey, I'm in the Millionaires Club, so I'll play this role in public. I'll say Black Lives Matter. I'll do this, that, and the third. But then behind the scenes, I'm more in line with the owners. And like Mark Cuban said, soon the players will make more than the owners. Watch how these players start acting then. They won't be Black Lives Matter or none of that at that point. They're not going to care about their city or anything. They won't even care about the team or championship.
Yeah, I think we're there now. I mean, I just think they've transcended the rest of us. And so it's like, Okay, and I will. I go see G League games now. I don't go to the Blazers. I go to the G League because I want to see basketball. I want to see people who care. We got a G League team here. I can go see real basketball instead of spoiled millionaires. You mentioned the fashion stuff. We got Jeremy Grant. He's one of our best players, the fashionista coming out there. I got sick of it. I got sick of watching him walking through Portland wearing Gucci and Versace and all this stuff. It's like, dude, this is Portland, Oregon, okay? It's a Thursday night in Portland. I'm going to be staying up late before work tomorrow, all right? Like, just go play basketball. I don't need to see your Versace shit. Sorry, no offense, but it just seems like that's now the most important thing. What's my fit going to be before the game? What's the catwalk going to be like? It's like, I don't know, dude. Could you get a double-double? Like,
yeah, because if you look at the way the Bulls were, yeah, Michael Jordan was kind of flashy, but that's Michael Jordan. The rest of the team, even he was relatively humble. When you see these guys now, these guys are mid-level players. They're coming through with like 5 chains on and chinchilla coat with some like high waist shorts, and like these guys are weirdos. Ripped jeans with their stomach showing and all this type. Westbrook is, I don't know what Westbrook be wearing. So when you put that together, it's like, I don't know if I'm so glad I'm not 15 years old or 14 right now, because I don't know who these guys have to look up to. I don't know what real stars they have to rally behind. And you don't really know if you should even trust your kids to even want to follow these guys. Because if you think sports is something harmless, you don't even know anymore. You really don't know. Because these guys, you don't know what their real agenda is. I mean, it's like, so the point, I don't mean to mix all this other stuff with it, but I think it's hard not to, factor that in when you see why the league is the way it is. Like you said, it's too much money. That's why the All-Star game is the way it is. That's why the dunk contest and the three-point contest is the way it is. And it's having an effect on people's mentalities. So, there's no loyalty. Nobody cares. Everybody's out for themselves. And it ultimately brings down the value of the league. So that's what I think the issue is that, like, the league is broken. Society's broken. Like, these people represent what the society is. In the 80s and 90s, society was relatively strong. America was thriving. League was thriving. And the players represented that. People had heart. People had loyalty. People had patriotism. Yeah, racial issues and social issues still abound. But they united people, and people still maintained their sides and got along. Now, people can't do that. And, and these guys are all having all kind of women problems and all that kind of stuff and getting in bed. Like, everything is starting to seep out. So when I start bringing up how these guys are raised and stuff like that, that's why. I mean, you can't separate. This guy never plays. This guy has no heart. He's not in shape, and he has 5 baby mamas. He's never on the court, and I guess because he has a guaranteed contract, he's not worried about that. Whereas, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to separate those things.
No, part of it. No, honestly, part of it is I don't want to know that the Anthony Simons and Brandon Ingram have the same baby mama, but I do for some reason. Like, it's out there, and maybe it is social media. It's just stuff is too accessible, and things that aren't my business. I'm seeing, like, after watching the starting 5, God, I can't stand any of those guys. Even Sabonis is like, hey kids, you can live your dreams like me. Just make sure your dad's a famous European basketball player and the greatest of all time. Then you can be just like me. Like none of them seemed accessible. None of them seemed like real people. And I think that that detachment is a huge part of the problem in the fan base.
Gentlemen, yeah. I'm about to close this show down. But thank you, John G. Thank you, Jamal, specifically. John G came on for the first time yesterday in the trivia contest, and Jamal's a longtime fan and contributor to the show. It's probably about over a year now, right, Jamal?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Where at least the first time that you called in. But I appreciate you guys calling in and joining this conversation, adding the value to what we were talking about. And of course, Nick, NMB Sports, thank you again as well, sir. Steam Engine, Hoop God, AOH, and thank you all for calling in as well. Do y'all have any last words for the people, Nick, Jamal?
No, I'm good. Had fun as always.
Yeah, man. Salute to everybody.
Yep. The Sixers, those Sixers, man. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting. And again, Michael Jordan fans are the best.